Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. It is time for another Life as a Working Disney Cast Member video, or vlog. Tonight is a bonus episode about when I was working at Animal Kingdom. And then after that, I believe I get to talk about how I felt to quit Disney and all that fun stuff. Because I just recently got done talking about the Epcot portion of my Life as a Working Disney Cast Member series. And yes, I am backtracking a little bit, talking about Animal Kingdom, because technically this happened back in early 2018, but I figured I'd backtrack a little bit and then go right back to where I was. Anyway, I've been waiting for a little while to do this. My brother goes back to work tomorrow, and I don't think he's completely ready to go back to work. When you've been stuck at home for a little while, you're kind of on your last day, you're just kind of like, is this really happening? Am I really going back to work tomorrow? So he's been kind of dragging his heels all day. He only just went on a walk just like 5-10 minutes ago. I'm just like, dude, what are you waiting for? I'm surprised that no one asked me, like, why have you been waiting for him to go on a walk? Because I want to do a YouTube video. I'm sure I've been told, oh, you shouldn't be doing a YouTube video when you're not feeling well. It's like, oh, I am feeling well enough to do this, so I'm going to do it. Anyway, so I was looking for an extra shift at or on the Hub, which is basically a Disney employee website, one day back in January of 2018, and this was for, I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day or something like that. I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything within my department. As you guys remember, I was, I think it was 2018, I'm very sure about that. I was still allowed to pick up shifts at Min and Bill's Dockside Area because I had just recently left it. I was still kind of missing working in food and beverage, even though I had just recently transferred into Magic Kingdom Attractions. I wasn't 100% thrilled about the whole working in Tomorrowland Speedway at the time. I don't think I found any open positions for Tomorrowland Speedway, and I don't think I was looking either. I think I was just going through that phase where I was like, do I really want to do this? I mean, like, seriously. So, I happened to find a open position for Flame Tree Barbecue, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Well, I've got lots of food and beverage experience from Disney. Why not? So I accepted the position, and I was told I had to drive out to this costume building off of a road called Sherbrooke Road, which is basically in backstage area. Disney finally released a new rule basically stating that guests can no longer take any kind of pictures or any kind of video footage or live streaming of any kind in backstage areas, and that includes Sherbrooke Road. I know it stinks because it is on a public road, but it's also in a backstage area as well. Technically, Disney property cuts off right after the Disney's Partners Federal Credit Union. So once you go past the entrance to Partners Federal Credit Union, because there is a small little branch over there, you are officially on public property. And at that point, you can take video footage and photographs and live streaming, because at that point, you are coming into a lot of, like, an area with a lot of restaurants. There's a McDonald's, there's a CC's, there's now an Arby's over there. It's a really nice Arby's, too. I think there's also a CVS. Anyway, the point is, there's a lot out there. Coming from a guy who has seen that area change quite a bit, I'm quite impressed myself how much has changed out there myself. So I drove down the road a little bit, and kind of on my immediate left there was the costuming building. So I go up to it. It's actually one of the smaller buildings, so I go inside and I go find my area that has my costumes, and I usually get about 2 or 3 costumes, so I know I find the right size, and I try it on, and then after I try it on, I put back on my clothes. Though you have to give yourself plenty of time to do this, especially if you're like putting on a new costume for your first time, and then you have to go through the scanner to let the system know that you're checking it out. And always make sure you return new costumes properly, especially if that's not your normal area. So I went through the system, and there was happened. I mean, since this is a relatively good sized building, I happen to also know this is the same exact building that the Disney Auditions meets at. So people who want to audition for Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, I'm not saying what exactly I'm referring to, but let's just put it this way. There's more to Monsters Laugh Floor than meets the eye. So if you wanted to audition for that, for example, you could go over there. And there happens to be some restrooms in there, and some changing rooms. So I went in there and I changed out into my costume again, because you can't change in the changing room. No, that's only for trying out costumes. Disney has a very strict rule on that. I did bend that rule, unfortunately, a couple of times working at Magic Kingdom, because I was running a little behind. Magic Kingdom does have the fanciest changing rooms, or whatever you call it. Again, a room where you try out your costumes. And it was only because of the fact that normally it wasn't horribly busy. Also, it was pretty big, and there was also a good amount of them. So I would quickly go in there if, like, say for example, I was coming from Publix or something beforehand, or let's say I was wearing my normal clothes beforehand. It didn't happen often, but it happened enough that I had to do it. So I did have to do that every now and then. Trust me, I didn't always like doing it. So, anyway, back to Animal Kingdom. So after I got changed into my costume, I would get back in my car. And here was the nice thing. So my dad worked at Animal Kingdom for about 14, 15 years. So I knew pretty much how to get there. So I would drive back to the light, and I just had to drive straight across, and I pretty much followed the road along until I got to the parking lot, found a parking spot. My dad had shown me where the cast member area was, thankfully, so I knew exactly where to go. Otherwise, I would have been screwed. So I walked over there, scanned my ID, and I walked right through, and there happened to be a bus right there. Well, I think I saw it one time when I went with my dad over there, and that was about it. So I did happen to know that was there, so I hopped on this bus, and well, I think that was another time, but anyway, the point is, I did know that was there. Depending on where you were at, you could also walk through the main entrance. I also knew about a side entrance one time when my dad asked me to wait for him off to the side in this one area, and I was actually seen by a security guard on camera. And I kind of got a little nervous, even though I was technically not in a bad area, but I wasn't in the best area either. So, anyway, so I happen to know about that. So that actually worked to my advantage. So having my dad work at Animal Kingdom really helped me out a lot, and I'm really appreciative of that, because I knew exactly where I was going. I'm very sure for the first time, though, I did have to go the other way that I mentioned first. So, I went, that way, and I found my way over to Flame Tree Barbecue, and I walked into the kitchen. I happened to see, oh, cool, it's fully operational. It's got dishwashers and everything, and I thought that was all, this is kind of cool. Anyway, so I was just kind of observing that a little bit. Then I walked up front, and they tried putting me in this position where I helped out with orders, and then they eventually switched me for cleaning tables. And I'm like, okay, well, this is easy. It's not like I haven't done it before at Disney's Hollywood Studios, so I was just kind of making my way around, just cleaning tables, saying hello to the guests, and eventually a manager shows up and gets all mad at me because I hadn't been emptying the trash cans, and I'm like, what? So apparently at that restaurant, if you do that position, you have to empty the trash cans. Well, I hate to say it, but when they showed me that position, they failed to show me that. So I was able to get out of that one. I don't think I ended up staying the whole shift, but it was an interesting experience. Would I necessarily say I would do it again? No, but I'm really glad that I did work at Animal Kingdom. I'm really glad that once again my dad showed me when I was younger, not saying how young I was, but let's just say old enough to understand where to go if I, eventually worked for the company. What my dad did was not wrong whatsoever. So please don't ever think that my dad did anything wrong. Trust me, my dad would never jeopardize his job whatsoever. So, and that's why I kept saying, I really appreciate the fact that my dad did show me, where to go. Those couple of times that he was working there. So it would later on in my life benefit me, so I wouldn't have to go asking for his help at the last minute and possibly get me another tardy. Unfortunately, not everywhere that I worked at Disney did I know where I was going. Like one funny story, when I picked up a Christmas shift on Main Street, USA, putting wristbands on kids. I'm pretty sure my dad did work on Main Street, USA, and this was one time I wish I had asked my dad for help because he probably would have known where to go. And I ended up getting lost for over 30 minutes, and that's not bad enough. I ended up accidentally clocking in because I was so worried about being late in the costuming building, which is a big no-no, and I hate to say it, but I've done this so many times. It's not like anybody has ever told me do this at every single job. It's just something I was like, oh, it's not a big deal, as long as you only do it once. And I don't know how I've always gotten away with it, but I would never ever recommend anybody ever doing that. In fact, don't do that. So, but when I did finally get up there, I thought I was going to be in so much trouble, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, two things. Number one, you guys don't even know me, and number two, I've never even been up here, so what was I supposed to do? Give myself like 3 hours. That's the one thing I hated about accepting new positions. It's like, what was I supposed to do? So, my first biggest mistake that I made was I assumed I had to go through a backstage area to get to here, or to that specific place, and no, actually, I didn't. So, I had to go through a backstage area, go walk through the park, and then I would have actually came up to the main entrance, and then it would have been like right through this door that I had seen so many times as a guest. So I was very embarrassed about that. Anyways, guys, I will see you in the next vlog, which will be tomorrow. So always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out. And also always remember, if you work for Disney, try not to bend the rules. Also, if you have a family member or friend that works for Disney, always ask them for advice and help. Don't always try to rely on your gut, especially if your gut instinct is not always with it. And if you have a family member or a friend that works for Disney or worked for Disney, please say thank you to them, because they... Yeah, you always want to say thank you to your family member, because you never know when they might have helped you in life, or you may not have even stopped and taken the time to say thank you to them when they did help you. If, Disney tickets. I can't tell you how many times my dad has helped me get into Disney over the years, and my friends and other family members. And not all of my friends that my dad got into Disney, he either got along well with or knew personally, and he did it because he loved me, and that's why I want to do that big shout out to him, because they really mean a lot, those family members that have those perks. So I hope that my message says a lot, and my next vlog will be about the time that I worked at Rivers of Light. Actually, it was like two or three times. Anyways, guys, back in my room now because my brother just got back from his walk. So I'll see you tomorrow after he goes back to work.